صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of the Almighty God be with all of you. My name is Ibrahim Faraj and I have the distinct honor of serving as your Master of Ceremony for this evening. On behalf of his learned scholar, Sheikh Abdul Latif Berre, Sheikh Dr Ibrahim Kazarouni, Chairman of the Board, Hajj Kamal Sharara, and the entire IIOK family, we welcome you to our nightly Ramadan English program. Before I introduce tonight's special guest and renowned scholar, Sheikh Dr Ibrahim Kazarouni, there are a few program announcements I need to make. We kindly request that you silence your phone and refrain from speaking during the lecture so everyone may benefit from its educational purposes. Tonight's lecture as well as previous lectures can be viewed at our website iiokonline.org. The Islamic Institute of Knowledge will be giving away 3 iPads during our English program. Participation requires individuals to pay close attention and be able to correctly answer questions related to the lecture. The correct answers will then be entered into a drawing at the end of the week for the prize giveaway. Only one drawing per family, please. Following tonight's lecture, we will have a question and answer session. We encourage everyone to participate. Our featured speaker, Sheikh Dr Ibrahim Kazarouni, is currently a professor at the University of Detroit Mercy teaching world religions. Sheikh Kazarouni holds a PhD in philosophy with a concentration in religion and social change. Sheikh Kazarouni studied in the seminaries in An-Najaf in Iraq and Qom, Iran. Please help me welcome to the podium Sheikh Dr Ibrahim Kazarouni with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
عندكش حد يقرأ القرآن؟
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله يا رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين نصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب طبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers, sisters, friends, colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أيها الناس إنه قد أقبل إليكم شهر الله هو شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله وجعلتم فيه من أهل كرامة الله. O people, the month of Allah has come to you. It is a month that you have been invited to be to the divine hospitality and reception, and you have been invited to be the dignitaries in that banquet. Last night, using the famous hadith, من عرف نفسه فقد عرف ربه, I tried to explain how can we relate understanding of the self to the understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Particularly when we go back to the original creation stories, we see the image that Quran as well as Hadith give is that the ultimate goal for the creation was for human being to be Khalifatullah, God's vicegerent on earth. And once they reach perfection, they become the mirror image of God's beauty and perfection. The major problem that I found when we tried to use this synthesis between human understanding and understanding or comprehension of the divine, as far as the adult, well, some claim that some people do understand, some people do not understand themselves. The critical point is, how do we relate it to the youth? I cited at least one book that was a compilation of research by 32 various scholars, which was published by Tufts University, to underline the fact that the challenge that exists within our community vis-a-vis the youth is not something unique to us. Other societies, other communities, other groups, whether faith-orientated or not, they understand that challenge or the existence of the challenge, and they are doing research trying to find the solution. The major area in which these research indicate, we leave the research that have been done by the religious organizations, whether it's Jesuit or Christians or Protestants or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist, focus on primarily the academia. We see that these scholars see three major issues to be problematic when it comes to the youth. Number one, these are three different contexts: ideological context, social context, and finally what they call the transcendent context, in which a youth finds it challenging, particularly if they are not equipped and they have not been guided, or plans or provision have not been established right at the beginning of their lives, to be able to balance themselves and be able to navigate through these complex relationships. The youth, will be able to find out the ideological context as well as the social context by themselves through schools as well as friends. But where they fail, if there are no proper programs for them, is the transcendental context, where you bring God from the margin to express a phrase within post-colonial discourse, from the margin to the center. And in another word, where now God is not somewhere floating around that you resort or you approach it when there are crises in your life, you try to establish yourself, your life, with this intention of God being around all the time. The youth will fail when it comes to do that. They fail to understand the relationship between, or how to bring this transcendental value into the life in relation to the other two contexts. This is why major studies have found out the failure for the youth to come to churches, to synagogues, to temples, and so on. And we, from our own program, we say to the mosque as well, is the failure to understand the usefulness of that transcendental value in the two other contexts. I can live morally. I never forget, I had just come from Colorado to here, and I went to a mosque in which they were trying to organize a program, a youth program. And a number of academics, community leaders, businessmen, they were all being present, speaking on behalf of the youth. When I said, okay, where are the youth? Well, we are trying to develop a program instead of allowing the youth to come in. The next time that I went, out of courtesy to the youth, I suppose they brought in 3 young individuals. As soon as conversation developed, the first question that was posed by one of these young brothers in response to one of the scholars that tried to insist somehow that the centers have monopoly of ethics and morality, and if the kids don't come to the center, then one has to question their morality. Immediately, this young person stood up and said, why? I can be moral without coming to the mosque. I can be ethical without coming to the mosque. This is exactly what these scholars are saying. The first 2 contexts they identify with, the notion of transcendent being and coming and playing a major role in their lives, are nowhere to be seen. And they don't see the relevance of it. If ethics... If ethics and morality can be gained outside this structure, what's the need to come to the structure for what? Particularly in the light of the 6 questions or 6 ideas that were put forward by the brother, and what I have read about various research, that all the youth complain about various factors here: language, culture, hierarchical attitude, condemnation, etc., judgment, so lack of understanding of their way of life. There is no need to come here. Mosque has no meaning, or mosques have no meaning for the youth. So we have something that we have to focus upon and find a solution. Tonight, I intend to leave that issue for the time being and move to a different, go back to the original theme or thesis that we presented, that was the month of Ramadan. Although, when we talked about the youth, we still tried to use the month of Ramadan as a time and space that we can develop ideas and program for the youth, but for the time being, let's leave that issue aside and move to different things. The khutbah, the sermon of Sha'baniyah that I have repeated and recited many times, right at the beginning uses a metaphor of a banquet and being invited to a reception. Ya ayyuhan nas, innahu qad aqbala ilaykum shahrullah. O people, the month of Allah has come to you. And then there is a descriptive sentence about what is unique about this month. And then comes huwa shahrun du'itum fihi ila dhiyafatillah. This is the beginning of the metaphorical use of language, in which the image of a reception and banquet to be used, and try to simplify this relationship with the month so that people understand. There is a banquet, there is a reception. You are invited to be the guest and the dignitaries to this reception. The problem is, if we want to use that metaphor, the first question is, what are the protocols for getting into this reception? Fundraising, there is a protocol for it. Dinner parties, you have to dress nicely, and the more expensive the suit, the better it is. The more expensive the cologne is, and the scent travels a mile, the more honor and dignity you have, and the best cars that are parked outside. This is unfortunately what we understand from material receptions and banquets. You have to pay for it, you have to get a card, go to the door, introduce yourself, your name being checked, and allowed inside. Are we, if this is a metaphorical use of the language, what is our understanding of this reception and banquet? There is a tendency, unfortunately, that the banquet, even if we understand it, is defined into this material benefit and that we have in life. I give up, abstain from drinking and eating for a whole day, but I reserve the right at night to entertain myself with food, drink, and TV, and nargila, and everything else, as a way to come out of the 16, 17 hours of fasting and relax. This is nothing but materialistic understanding or reading into this text. The notion that this banquet means something totally different. The use of the metaphor was so that our own perception and understanding can comprehend and visualize is missing, and we interpret it purely that I have abstained from food after iftar. It's my feast, my banquet. I can do whatever I like. That's one way of understanding. If you want to understand what's going on, you go through the communities around you and see what kind of things we do as a matter of habit, habitual. Quran, 11 months left on the shelf, collecting dust. Not even once a week or once a month we pay attention to Quran to read it, most of us. Suddenly we realize that the book of Allah is during the month of Allah. We have to pull it out of somewhere and start reading it. We have all family members. Suddenly we remember beginning of the month of fasting that we have Salatul Rahim as some kind of an obligation. Dads, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers have been left in some kind of obscure place that we don't even visit and find out about them. Then suddenly they become a reality. Poor neighbors and destitutes within the area that we never even acknowledge their presence, suddenly during this month we begin to realize that these people exist, and we have to make some kind of provision for them. Mosques that hardly, probably every other week or every other month we would turn up, we begin to turn up if there are no other entertainments around. If there are some other entertainments that we can benefit from it, we really don't need the mosques. But we do it on a matter of routine and a kind of habitual way. There is no thought going into it as to why we do it. One of the questions is that it begs the question that if the metaphor was used by the Holy Prophet, it was used for a purpose. So what kind of banquet is it? Is it material banquet, or is it a spiritual banquet, or is it the two? Certainly when we discussed the true meaning of fasting in trying to translate and interpret the verse 183 Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. The first attempt was to classify or define the first category, who are the mu'mins according to the Quran itself, and then secondly, what is siyam, fasting, according to what Quran explains about the essence of fasting. And I attempted to explain that the essence of fasting from Quran goes beyond what we call thirst and hunger, and there are a number of traditions that supports the argument that if fasting is supposed to lead us towards ultimately leading a lifestyle that God becomes the center, we are informed by God and we work according to God's command, then this fast must be something unique, and the month must be used uniquely. So what are the requirements for getting even close to the banquet? The clue is at the end of the khutbah or the sermon of Sha'baniyah. If you read it right to the end, the sermon was given by the Holy Prophet in Medina in front of people. Ali says, at the end of the sermon, I stood up and asked the question, Ya Rasulullah, ma afdalul a'mal fi hadha ash-shahr? What is the best thing which means, yes, I understand the narrative, I understand the description, I understand the metaphor use of the language, I understand everything, but try to condense the whole thing into one sentence. The answer comes quickly. Al-wara'u an maharimillah. To protect yourself from the sins and the shortcomings. That's the essence of fasting. So the protocol to approach the banquet and to approach the reception, for us to become the dignitaries of this reception, the first thing that we need to do is to take the necessary provision for a radical change in our life, where we distance ourselves from the sins. Otherwise, and go through the list that the Holy Prophet outlines in that sermon, your eyes have to be fasting, your ears have to be fasting, your tongues have to be fasting, you have to have full control over your thoughts, etc., etc., etc. If our eyes sin on a regular basis, our tongues sin on a regular basis, we backbite, we lie, we cheat, we deceit, we slander, and all this, and then we claim to be fasting. We certainly do not fulfill the condition to be present in this banquet and to be invited as a dignitaries of reception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If to become the best thing, the shortest way to it is al-wara'u an maharimillah, to stay away from what God has forbidden, then we really need to do something about our understanding.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, this is the best thing that I can use as a metaphor for the Day of Judgment. Here is the luck of the draw. Whoever wins. On the Day of Judgment, they give you your book and they say, Iqra' kitabak. You read your own book. So, how do we define, in Khutbah 44 of Sahif al-Sajjadiyah, Imam Zayn al-Abidin has a small khutbah regarding the month. He says, Oh Allah, makes us understand the importance of this blessed month, and distant between us and what you do not like. Give us power to fast in a way that all of our faculties fast, not just hunger and thirst. Do deeds that bring your happiness, and not to do anything or commit anything which is forbidden. Not to say bad things, and not to do to show off and be ostentatious and mutakabbir. So even Sahif al-Sajjadiyah clearly states that the essence, the protocol of going to this gathering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, literally there is nothing else that Allah can do to make this month, to create the provision for us to suddenly make a shift from one to other, apart from force us into it, which Allah has said Allah is not going to do. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi'anfusihim. Somehow there is a free will. The only way Allah, again, Surah Al-Rum, Surah Al-Ankabut and others, we test you in life so that it becomes established who's liar and who's faithful. Month of fasting is supposed to, we really have to have a clear understanding. How can we claim that we are ready to go to this banquet if we still have not purified our wealth that we use to buy the food that we're going to eat it for iftar. If the wealth that we have is inherently, there is a portion within it that belongs to the poor and the needy, that we do not possess. Part of the economic theory of Islam is that the poor and the needy have the right to a portion of one's wealth intrinsically. So you do not possess, it's not yours, you have to give it. If you still hold to it, you are ghasib, it's a usurpation of somebody's right. So if we have haram money in our wealth, and we use that haram money or a mix of money to buy food, and then eat it at the beginning of iftar, and then we raise our hand, Allahumma laka sumtu wa ala rizqika aftartu wa alayka tawakkaltu fataqabbal min. It's a mockery. Taqabbal what? If we haven't been able to cleanse ourselves, our wealth that we have, to purify it, Sawm, according to the tradition, says Zakatul Abdan, which purifies one's physique. It has, no matter even if you don't do it the right way, still the mere fact that you go through thirst and hunger gives your stomach and all your physical realities some break, and you settle down. But that's not the issue. The issue is, how do we prepare ourselves, the soul that has to be purified. I've said it in the other lecture that I have. Islam came with a clear plan to deal with poverty and the poor within the community. Because Islam considers the mere existence of poverty and destitution within the society as an indication for a dysfunctional society. This society is not stable if there are poor and the needy within it. With a declaration from the Holy Prophet, كَادَ الْفَقْرُ أَنْ يَكُونَ كُفْرًا. So long as poverty exists, the foundation is not stable to create a society that is faith-orientated and God-centered. Dichotomy in society is not accepted. You need to stabilize. And then after that came up with a view. Capitalist society says you go to work, at the end of the day, whether you work on a paycheck to paycheck, or you are a businessman, or you have your own business, whatever it is, whatever you gain is yours. Islam radically changed this relationship. Came with two broad categories: possession and ownership. First of all, when we follow the logic of Islam, the only true possessor of wealth is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Through His mercy, we are granted the use of the wealth that we work and we have it. We possess. According to this economic theory, the only time this wealth can become yours when you spend it on the way of God, so the record is established on your book and for yourself. You see how radical the idea is? Give it, it becomes yours. Possess it, it's not yours. If you pile a mountain of wealth, what is going to happen? And you don't spend it. Even if you go as far as you can, as far as zeros in front of a figure in bank account, it's not yours. Somebody else is going to use it. You're going to give it to somebody else, and you will be questioned for it. But once your own book, there is a record in it that yes, you earned it, you possessed it, and you gave it on the way of Allah for the sake of Allah, then you are the true owner of that portion. How can we possess a mal or a wealth that part of it, portion of it, is supposed to be spent for the poor and the needy? and we deny them that, indirectly destabilizing our own community. I know, I was surprised when I came over here, the number of families, single mothers with 3 or 4 children, that they have to ask the community for help at the end of the month to pay for their rent. All the wealth that the government supports is not enough, and they have to make a radical change between the bread on the table or the rent and electricity and everything else, and during winter warmth. Haven't we heard, few nights from now we talk about the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Man asbaha wa lam yahtam bi umur al-muslimin falaysa bi muslim. If you wake up and you don't care about the affairs of your fellow brothers and sisters that are Muslim, or even human beings, for God's sake, you don't deserve to be called a Muslim. How can we allow this to happen? Basic food bank we need to organize in mosques to pay or to give it to the families, that it is their right. There is the punishment in Islam vis-a-vis the person that steals. You cannot cut the hand of a thief if you have failed to give them what is their right, and out of desperation they have to go and steal. We have a hadith that says if somebody breaks your door, comes into your house and picks bread from your table to go and feed his or her own family, because we did not give them what is their right, you cannot stop them. You harm them, you will be punished. And we use all this wealth for 6 or 7 cars outside the houses. 6,000 square feet houses that we only live in 2 rooms, which is literally built on the carcass of the society, because we have created the society and made it unstable. The condition to go to this banquet is to be responsible, to avoid al-wara'u and maharim Allah, to stay away from the sins. Nothing is in Islam. There are 2 sins that in Islam we have traditions that even if you repent, but the fact that you have committed that sin delays istibta', delays the notion of your prayers being accepted to 40 days. Take the right of people, what belongs to people, and keep it in your own wealth and use it. The fact that you have used it, even if you realize and you repent, it takes literally 40 days cleansing of your system. Go and read Quran and see how many times Quran refers to eating fire when you eat the wealth that belongs to the needy, the poor, the marginalized, those who have no power to defend themselves. The narrative in the Quran uses the metaphor of yatama, the orphans. But who are the orphans? The orphans are a class within the society that have no power, nobody to defend their right. A poor and the needy within our community, that they have no one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, falls within this category. And those who have these wealth and don't spend it, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq swears by God, he says, if what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instigated and obligated for the community as far as wealth distribution, if it was done properly, not a single poor individual would have existed in the Muslim community. So the fact we have it is an indication that we have a responsibility. We are far away from the banquet and being the dignitaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us to be. And unless during whatever is left of this month, a radical shift takes place in our lives, it's wishful thinking. If we can use it constructively, whatever is left of this month, to really reshape, reorientate, redirect our lives, and focus and contemplate and see what is going on. Do we have part of somebody's wealth in our wealth? Give it to them. Haqqun nas must be given to people that you owe them before your tawbah is accepted. The only thing I can do is pray that all of us, by blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this realization comes that if this, let's call it the golden opportunity, is missed, brothers and sisters, there is no guarantee that we will make it till next Ramadan, where another opportunity will be created. Irrespective, whether youth, old, medium, decrepit, whatever it is, we have no guarantee that at the end of this month, if we make it to the end, we will make it till next month of Ramadan. So Tawbah must start immediately, change must take place immediately, preparation to become the guest and the dignitaries to this banquet and reception must start immediately before the opportunity is missed. نسأل الله لكم ولي التوفيق. Let's end by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha for the soul of all the deceased from our community and others, especially for the family of Samahat al-Marja. Please recite Surah Al-Fatiha and bear in mind that only 3 days ago, and on yesterday, in Jum'ah prayer, Masjid Imam Saleh in Kuwait was attacked by a single bandit that belonged to an ideology that calls itself Islamic and justifies this kind of behavior. Consider their souls into your prayers as well. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Doctor. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Unfortunately, I missed all of your lecture.
Abu Ashraf has it on tape.
I know. He's giving me a copy every day. But, so I can't ask the questions until what? Tonight? Tomorrow maybe? Until I get the CD from him?
No, I can. You can ask the question.
Okay, well, just a reminder that tonight, we're going to have 3 lucky winners. One of them is the luckiest. 2 of them will be happy with ice cream, I guess. $25 gifts, inshallah. The iPad winner, I hope that the winner is here because we want the winners to be here. We will ask a question tonight from tonight's lecture. The answers will be collected again for next Saturday's drawing that we're going to do here again. Tonight, the iPad was donated to us by Brother Hassan Shrara and his business of tax, expert tax accounting. What's the name? Expert accounting. Expert accounting. Would you like to say a word? What's the name?
Expert accounting.
What is it located?
And Schaefer.
Schaefer, address?
4104 Schaefer Road. Between Michigan Avenue and Rotunda.
Between Michigan Avenue and Rotunda. Expert accounting and taxes and tax services. We want to thank you for your donation, generous donation.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد.
And we ask all our audience to support Brother Hassan and to read also Surah Al-Mubarak Al-Fatiha ila Arwah Amwati and want everybody that's with us tonight. Please. Thank you. As for the gift certificates. They are $25 gift certificates from the new place on Schaefer, the Yogurt Tubi. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people like that place. So they're donated by the Majma, not by the Yogurt Tubi. Okay, so I want to thank you for coming in. With that, I'm going to give Dr. Kazarouni the chance to ask the question. We want to simplify the questions a little. Last night, I know we confused a lot of people in the audience because we gave them one answer out of three, and I had a lot of answers with the answer that you gave them. I could not include them. So well, let's not give them choices.
No, there are no choices. It's
one
just one
sentence.
I recited tonight Khutbah of Sha'baniyah, the sermon of Sha'ban. And I said that at the end of the sermon, Amir al-Mu'mineen asks the Holy Prophet as what is the best action or the best deed during the month of Ramadan. What did the Holy Prophet respond as the answer? Just one sentence.
Did you say that today?
Yes.
So what was the Holy Prophet's response
yes.
to the best action or deed during the month of Ramadan?
The question posed by Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is the best deed during this month? And the Holy Prophet
answered
responded a short sentence.
Specifically, with a short answer that was mentioned tonight. Did we pass the papers for the answers? Again, please, brothers and sisters, write your name and phone number on a piece of paper that we're passing around right now. And your answer. Inshallah, Brother Rashid will be selecting the correct ones, and we will collecting it. No. I'm saying about the correct answers will be selected by, sorted out, yeah. Yes, we did mention that. One entry per family, one winner per family. You can enter more than one, that's fine. But one winner per family. And we need this to be on the Islamic honor roll, because we can't tell if everybody is family or not. So.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes.
Can we repeat the questions?
The question is, in the Khutbah of Sha'baniyah, the sermon of Sha'baniyah, at the end of the sermon, Amir al-Mu'mineen asks the Holy Prophet as what is the best act or deed that one could do during the month of Ramadan? What is the best thing one could do? And the Holy Prophet responds with one short sentence, a very short sentence. What is that?
What is the best deed during the month of Ramadan? The answer that Prophet Muhammad gave, peace be upon him, gave to Imam Ali alayhi salam.
You can either write the Arabic text or you can write the interpretation. Both of them are the same. I can't hear you, sister. I'm not to be blamed for it.
Okay. Brother Rashid is saying one entry per family. We gain the answers back. Okay, as we start something, pass more papers around, please.
And in the back.
How many of you here won last year? I know Ibrahim Faraj. Where is Ibrahim? Right there. He won the iPad. He was the first winner last year, and he is with us here. Did anybody else win? You won an iPad too. You won a card? Yeah, we have winners from last year. Alhamdulillah. We have repeat audience. Yes. It's real. Last year we gave 4 iPads and about 8 or 10 certificates, gift certificates. This year, if we are able, inshallah, we will continue throughout the month of Ramadan. We may be able to give 4 iPads. So far we have 3 donors. We may be able to give 4 if someone steps up and pays for the 4th one. Okay, so we have a few more minutes to go before we do the drawing. Let's take a few questions regarding the lecture that Dr. Kazarouni gave us tonight. Does anyone feel like they would like to comment on what he said? I'm not sure. I didn't get anything from your lecture. Sorry, again, but we have one supply.
Assalamu alaikum. You see how you said if your money, if you don't donate it, it's not yours.
Yeah, it's the cost. It's part of what we call Islamic economic theory. That the mere fact you have the money is not yours until you spend it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The line that's drawn is what you possess and what you own. It's a very fine line between the two. The ahadith clearly states, as well as verses in the Holy Quran, that once you give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's written in your book, and then you truly own it. So that distinction is made, and as a matter of fact, this is the basis of the Islamic economic theory. A number of research and conferences organized on this, exactly a comparison.
Are you done?
Islam and others.
No? Still have to think about the answer?
I can't hear you. Khums. It's khums is 1/5 of the profit that one makes or left for one at the end of the year, once the expenses are taken out. So 1/5 of it is to be given to poor, needy, and those who they don't have the income to support themselves. Khums in Arabic means 1/5, 20%.
For those who don't pay the khums, Maulana, how does that is that looked at?
Who's?
Like, let's say I have money saved in the bank. Let's say I have $100,000 saved in the bank, and I've never paid my khums. How is Islamically, how is it looked at this bank account that I have?
Well, those people who do not have an annual or date beginning of the year that they normally establish it, whether it's the month of Ramadan or Muharram or some other days, to purify the wealth that they have. If they haven't done it before, then they have to sit down and literally look at all the possessions that they have, and then see which ones are needed or used on a regular basis, and what are the leftovers and the extras. Then they sit with their marja or the representative and literally clean the wealth that they have by looking at 20% of the whole income. Once it's done the first time, the next year you only pay if you add anything, gain something extra. Once the khums has been paid, you don't need to pay for that khums. It's the extras that you pay for them.
Is it allowed that they don't pay the khums and invest the money and take profits on that money?
No.
It doesn't belong to them?
No.
What if they do?
Well, it's not something...
Okay, I'm going to give you a simple example. Okay, I had $100,000. You know, the khums is $20,000, right? And somehow I lost $80,000 and now I have 20. 20 is not mine, right? Because that's the khums. But I'm ignoring it. So I took the 20, I invested it, and I made another 20. Now, how do you look at that money?
The entire 40 is not yours.
You invested God's money.
Because from an Islamic point of view, the end does not justify the mean. The mean and the end both have to be pure.
Okay.
So the fact that I have taken liberty and used somebody else's wealth, invested it and made money for it, it goes back to that.
Okay. If this was done intentionally, I can see that. What if I didn't know that?
Then you have to go to the marja and see what the
how
marja
they
says.
reconcile.
Yes, because they might have different views here, some degree of leniency, etc., etc. And one of the issues that I repeatedly hear when somebody talks about khums, where we pay tax here. And do we consider
Yes.
tax as to be part of khums? All the maraja.
We hear that a lot, actually. They consider that the tax they pay
Yes,
is
as a
khums,
khums. No.
which is not
All
the
the
case.
maraja say no, tax is totally independent. Khums has a unique function to play within the Muslim community. Tax goes to support Israel, to buy weapons, pay for all kinds of things that have nothing to do with us. Khums has a unique context that has to be.
And khums is only on the money that you have left after 1 year's.
If you make, there are businesses that fall within the category of zakat. If you have land, or if you have cultivation, or if you have mining, or if you're deep sea, say, explorer or something that you benefit from it, those fall within the category of zakat. But because most people work on a 9 to 5 basis, and they are being paid at the end of the month, they fall within the category of the khums. So the money that you earn, if you have beginning of the year, you wait until that day comes and you see what you have spent and what is left out of your expenditure. Whatever is in addition to what you paid khums is going to be the basis for the new khums. If at the end of the year you have made money, you spend it, and really nothing is left,
You don't pay anything.
you don't pay khums.
Right. That's the difference between us and the tax system.
Yes.
The tax system, you pay in advance. You pay even if you have nothing left in your bank account.
Yeah, because they consider your income.
Right. So, any questions? Any other questions? We can ask questions.
So when it comes to the whole transaction of khums, I understand that it's there are jurists who have different rulings regarding where you can pay your khums at. And here in Dearborn, we've had issues that have arisen regarding centers that have authority to collect khums. I guess my question to you is, I know that they say taxes aren't included, but some of our taxes do go to like schools and needy families, through various. Is there a way that we can consider some of our khums to go to a needy cause, a nonprofit maybe that helps support local Muslim communities here that are in need, like Beit al-Zahra or Zaman International, which also helps out families?
See, Brother Rashid, after the Islamic Revolution in Iran, this issue came up. When we give money as tax to the government, to an Islamic government, should that be considered as part of khums? The entire scholars, they said that when you pay tax, because the context where the tax is being used in an Islamic government is similar to the context where we use for khums, which is the needy, the poor, the destitute, general projects, national projects, etc., etc. So in Iran, all the scholars opine that if you pay khums to the government, you can deduct it from your khums if your khums is more than the tax you have paid, and if your tax is more than khums, then you don't have to pay khums. With regard to outside the parameters of Islamic State, I'm yet to hear somebody that would say the tax that you use in a secular government, particularly when you have a huge percentage of it, is being wasted on issues that are contrary to Islam. We can use tax as a substitute for
But some of them are collecting khums and keeping it in here instead of just giving it back to the Maraja. Is that allowed?
Well, that's the debate that exists. Technically, according to this, the discussion that we have regarding khums, you have to spend it to deal with the needy and the poor where it has been collected as preference. The only time you can send it somewhere else when there are no needy within the area. That's one issue that we have to establish. And number two, whether the centers have authority to do so, to keep or send back. Most representative of Ayatollah Sistani will be given 50%. So they are allowed to use 50% of khums, which literally is Sahm Imam, to spend it on the needy and the poor within the community, and Sahm Sadat to be given back to the marja. Others might be flexible. If you can show that there is a need here, they will be...
What if the marja is dead?
again, his views regarding the scholars that are appointed. If he has no views,
I'm just saying this
next.
because I know there's a group of people that say, okay, the marja is that, but we still are collecting the khums.
Haj Kamal.
So I'm just bringing that up.
No, Haj Kamal, and the Sheikh, he will correct me actually for that. If the marja is that, to pay the khums, you have to go back to a living marja that he will allow you to pay for the
authority that was given. If the marja is dead and they rely on an authority that was given to them during his life, it terminates with the end of the life.
Once the marja dies, the scholar, once the scholar is dead, his authority or the marja'i authority to collect the money,
they need to go and get from, yes,
expires.
If they have authority from a marja that during his life...
So they need to collect with an authorization from a new marja,
yes,
that allows them to do that. Otherwise, the money is just being paid as donation.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a question?
Does giving to homeless count as khums?
If what?
If it's giving to a homeless person, to the homeless, does it count as khums?
Well, if they fall within the category of the poor and the needy within the community, certainly. Because from an Islamic point of view, every person has the right to shelter, food, and a number of other things.
But a homeless could be non-Muslim. Does that apply?
No, he didn't specify whether it was
No, usually when we know of a homeless here, we're talking about everybody. It could be a non-Muslim.
That's why I tried with this notion of where we consider
Muslim
money to be spent for the poor and the needy within our own
community.
Yes, we can use hiba, hadiyah, or other things, sadaqah or something to give to the poor as it comes, but not specifically with money or wealth that the context and the usage have been clearly defined.
Okay.
What if the homeless person that you think is homeless that you donate to isn't really homeless? Does that still count towards your khums?
Good question. If someone that you think is homeless but they're not homeless.
Well, we just said that if they are homeless within our own community, then they have to be given support.
What if someone claims to be poor and then you find out they're not poor and you're paying them khums money?
That's at the time. At the time that you gave them, you are justified in giving them. That's more than it.
But it falls on them.
They're short, yes.
It falls on them before God that they're taking money that doesn't belong to them. This is all Allah's money. The khums is Allah's
I think
money.
we need to organize a workshop on khums as well. So
there you go. Add to the workshop list. Do we have more questions? I see more hands.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
See how like you see a homeless person on the street and he asks for money. How if you know he's a drug addict and like, do you give him or not? Do you give him money?
Well, there are telltale signs on a drug addict. You can see it on their face, on the way they dress. If you think that they are alcoholic, drug addict, avoid giving them anything. But what about they are homeless outside and out of desperation they are asking for money? If there are signs that would indicate that they are drug addict or alcoholic or some abuse of drugs, avoid giving them anything. But if there are no signs, it's possible to support them simply on a humanitarian basis.
But if you had doubts that they are people that drink or people that gamble or people that don't do good, I mean, I think there's a hadith. The category of sadaqah has no context to be specific. So it's a wider category that left to the judgment of an individual, as long as we establish a need and we can use them. But if there is some kind of idea or tale or hints that this person, because of the association they have, because of the way they talk, because of the way they dress, because of the smell, or these are indications that there is an abuse of drugs taking place, try to avoid it. I believe there's a hadith about Prophet Muhammad. He was asked, if someone you don't know asks you for money, do you give? And he said yes.
Yes.
And then they said, what if he was lying? And he said, and what if he was not?
No.
فهل
But the context,
فتهلك.
yeah.
بمعنى هذا if you don't give him and he's needy, then you have really
Yeah, we need, you see, there are two different issues. What the young brother is asking, the context is different. During the life of the Holy Prophet, there were no heroin addicts or smoking things wandering around for me, or alcoholic that I can smell them and talk to them. Purely it was on pretense, whether the pretense is correct or not correct. Some person comes forward and says, I'm in need, what should you do? Literally, the obligation that we have when somebody asks, we need to support. Whether they are truthful or not, it's left in the hand of their own responsibility. But now the context has changed. What about I see signs that the person is drug addict or alcoholic or some kind of abuse of drug, then I should try to stay out of it. If there are no signs, then I can then say the context is the same and I can do the same thing.
Right. In the old days, those days, it was the Arab word that was honored at that time. So when someone says something, they believe them. At this time, it's not easy to believe anyone that says anything these days. Okay, I guess unless if someone has something to say here. Okay, last chance.
I think you've got to go.
Thank you very much, everyone. And now, Dr. You're going to do the drawing for us. The first one for the iPad is going to be you. I think we mixed them a lot, but
not enough.
Hopefully it will say Sheikh Hisham Hussein.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Let me read it. My name there.
So what should I do? Just
we already mixed them. Yeah, just reach in. Give us the winner. Can you read it?
Hisham al-Husseini?
Adam al-Araji.
Adam al-Araji, Sayyid Adam.
Araji?
Sayyid Adam.
Is Adam al-Araji here?
Sayyid Adam, where is he?
Is Adam here?
He'll kill himself.
If he's here, we need him to tell us his phone number.
Yeah, he is here.
If he's not, we're going to go for another one.
Oh my God, he'll kill himself.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to do another one, Maulana. Yeah, that's fine. The phone number is to make sure that it's the right person. Mu'ammal? Mu'ammal, the one who asked all the questions for the last 6 nights, 7 nights. Mu'ammal, I want you to tell me what your phone number is. What's the phone number on a piece of paper?
It's him. 313-658-0823.
0823. We have a winner, an iPad winner. Thank you very much. There you go. It does pay off to be here every night. He's here every night, by the way, and he's asking a lot of questions.
And asking questions.
Yes, real good questions. Now we're going to draw 2 more gift certificate winners. $25 gift certificates from Yogurtopia. The first winner is Fatima Abu Hamdan. Whoa. Where is Fatima?
She's not here?
Is Fatima Abu Hamdan here? No. He said they have to be in here. Fatima Abu Hamdan. We give her Fatima Abu Hamdan. She's not that lucky, I guess.
No, the ruling was for the...
Okay, Maulana, let's take another one. We need to be fair to everybody that comes in and stays here. But those that we announce the names, they'll go into the next week's drawing, inshallah. Dania Bassi. Here we go. Dania Bassi. You don't have to say your phone number on 71. Yes, that's the one, right one. Thank you. And here's your $25 gift certificate. We have one more.
One more?
One more, please, yes. One more for tonight.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Then you don't have a Muhammad brother, do you?
Yes.
Well, you see, everything is happening tonight.
You said one winner from
Muhammad Bazzi, is Muhammad here?
Yes.
But we said one winner per family. Okay? So you're a lucky family tonight. We're going to do another drawing. Muhammad, you may split that 25 with your sister though.
Or let him donate it. Let him donate it.
But you're eligible for next week's drawing with this.
Another one?
Yes, please. One last one. Ismail Bassi. Whoa, look at this. Guess who's going to be happy tonight? His mother is in Lebanon.
She's in Lebanon.
Ismail Bassi, what's your phone number?
773-6033.
What is it? 77? 6033, that's the one. That's the one. Thank you very much. I want to thank you for your participation. We're keeping these, inshallah, the last day. We will put them all together and we'll do a final drawing for 2 or 3 more gift certificates on it. Okay? Thank you. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.